Excellent stuff.
Hi there.
Maybe you want to do a quick introduction, Gernot. They already know who I am, just to kind of let them...
Sure. Hi, my name is Gernot. I am the founder of Voltage Circus. We do the part of the Toolroom Academy together with the Toolroom guys. And I work for an artist management company called Metropole Talent, where I look after artists like Penpot, Lenfaki, Shimza, and so on.
Excellent stuff. And the point of this TA talk, as we said before, with the earlier one with Dean, they're kind of short, sharp presentations just for it to be impactful, to give you guys some advice that you can take away and apply it to your careers. And what we want to talk about on this one is something that is obviously a huge topic that has grown over years, but even more so for artists now. And it's all about streaming and getting more streams as artists. So we just want to run through what we feel are some key topics that you guys should know about, understand, and dig a little bit deeper about, just to give you something to think about after today's conference. So should we dive straight in?
Yeah.
Let's do it. Let's do it. So point number one, Gernot, as you know, to achieve more streams, what's the first thing that we should think about?
So, of course, first of all, the music has to be right. So that's we take this as a given, kind of. And then when you're at the moment where the music is right, we feel like certain aspects are very important. One of them being having a strong artist brand, because this is really something. If you develop a strong artist brand over time, this is like the asset that you have, and this helps you to have like a long-lasting artist career. And you know, think for the artist brand, think a bit further. You know, it's not just you or your face. It can be more around that. It can be stuff like music, sort of fashion that you combine with the music, your hobbies, the tone of voice that you speak, and so on.
Yeah, 100%. There's been a lot of talk about brand in some of the panels earlier, and it's a huge thing because this is where it kind of really does take note. The A&R guys were talking about this and the music, but this is going to really help you when you're trying to gain more streams. But as everyone said, you know, a brand does take time. It develops over time. We don't want you guys to walk away panicking about this, but it's something you really need to think about if you want to get more streams.
Exactly. And then moving on to the next point, sort of a strong artist brand, this helps you to build a fan base. And then ultimately, you know, having a big fan base, this translates into streams. Because fans, they're pretty much the advocates of your music. You know, they go out and talk about you, talk about your project, talk about your music, and they're kind of like a small promotion army. So if you manage to build up a strong artist brand, which then translates into a strong fan base, these loyal fans, they will help you to get streams.
Yeah, and it's very much about loyal fans. That's the words we're taking away. Again, earlier panels were talking about this. We sometimes think about huge numbers, don't we, when we're thinking about building social media. When it comes to things like streaming, your actual closer, loyal fans are the ones you really want to focus on.
Exactly. It's much more valuable to you to have 1,000 very loyal fans than having 10,000 just random followers.
Even just 100 great loyal fans, which will stream and buy your music, will propel you much more in the streaming world for sure.
Totally.
So the next point, and this is about pitching. So proper pitching via Spotify for artists.
Yeah, so Spotify, essentially most of the streams that are generated, they come through playlists. Of course, you have a fair amount that comes through people going directly to a profile and streaming the music, and those streams are very valuable. But the big majority of streams are the ones that you generate through playlists. And you don't have the chance to be added to Spotify playlists if you don't pitch the music via Spotify for artists. So for all of you that have done a release before, you have your profile on Spotify, and that also means that you can claim your profile through artist.spotify.com. And whenever you have a release, this release then appears in the Spotify for Artists, and you have the chance to pitch it to the Spotify editorial team. And you should always do this. Do this around 2 to 3 weeks before the release. And this means that then your track is being considered to be put into a Spotify playlist on one side, into a playlist which is curated by the Spotify editorial team. And also this pushes the track into algorithmic playlist like Discover Weekly, and from there the track then sort of gets suggested to your followers that you already have in your profile, and then the algorithm starts to work and starts to listen to the track, and then from there on it kind of moves on to a bigger playlist.
Because Spotify almost kind of will test the track, won't they, in smaller playlists?
Exactly. You can see it as sports divisions, you know, like they Spotify tests the track in like very small playlists, like let's say like a small sports division, and if the track performs well, there's like certain metrics that Spotify looks out for, like save rate, skip rate, the rate, like how many people listen to the whole track. And then if those metrics are good, it moves up to bigger playlists. And it's kind of like, you know, it starts in a small playlist and it can move up all the way to, I don't know, if you're making techno, to Techno Bunker, if you're making some other electronic music, to Mint. Mint is a very big Spotify playlist, and you know, it can reach this big playlist.
So it's really worth doing your research on the bigger playlists as well, the ones that actually mean something to your music, and understanding what those playlists are, right?
Totally.
So the next point, still in the playlist, this is independent playlist plugin.
Exactly. So this kind of adds on to the whole idea of being, you know, added to playlists and generating streams to playlists. So on the one side, you do the Spotify editorial pitch that we just talked about, but you can also get active and pitch the track to independent playlists. So on Spotify, there are 3 different kinds of playlists. You have the Spotify curated playlists, like the very big ones that you all know, like Techno Bunker, like I just mentioned. Then you have the algorithmic playlists, like Discover Weekly. And then you have independent curated playlists, which is any user on Spotify can make a playlist. Most of you have probably made a playlist before, and some of them, they actually get quite big. And it's fairly easy to get added to those playlists because you can research the playlist curators and then kind of just send them an email, be like, hey, I have this track, this could fit into your playlist, you want to add this to your playlist. And then if it's a big playlist and the track gets added to it, it generates streams, and it also generates user data for the algorithm to sort of pick up the track.
What's the tools that you can use for that?
So 2 tools, write this down. One is called Chartmetric. With Chartmetric, you can research playlists and then sort of find the playlists that have tracks within your genre. And then you just Google the playlist owners. That's one thing. And the other thing is called Submit Hub, which is really cool. It's a tool where you pay a small amount of money. It's like €1 or something to pitch a track to a playlist.
Okay, the next point. Let's move on to the next one. DJ promotion.
Yeah, so for every release that you put out, you want to do a DJ promotion, because your track being played on the radio by radio DJs or in the club by club DJs means that it gets exposure. That means that, once the track is out, people will Shazam it, or, if it's played on the radio and then they talk about the track, people will recognize the track, and then when the track is out, they will go and search for the track, and they will add this track to their playlist, to their, like the tracks that they like. And this helps you to, generate more streams, generate more awareness for the track. So for every release, we highly recommend to do a DJ promotion.
There's a definite link, isn't there, between seeing DJs support tracks and streams go up and playlist ads go up.
Exactly. And there's 2 ways of doing it. If you have the budget and you're lazy, you can hire a DJ promotion company. We like to work with the promotion company called Your Army. Google them, I find them quite decent. Or you can do a DJ promotion yourself. So there's this tool called InFlight. It's a DJ promotion tool. You can just get an access to it, and via InFlight you can invite other artists to sort of be subscribed to your mailing list. And then when you have a track out, you sort of make the promotion in InFlight, you make the mail out in InFlight, and these artists that are subscribed to your mailing list, they will get the track and they can download it, and then they can start playing it.
It's always worth, if you've got a record signed and you're with a label, obviously talking to a label about DJ promotion, but it's something that's sometimes worth doing extra as well. If you're going to invest, and doing an external company yourself that you can really tailor, because you can see it directly affect those playlist ads.
Yeah. All right, moving on to the next point, running social media ads. We have seen that running social media ads helps to boost the Spotify algorithm. So what we always do for a release of our artist, we allocate, let's say, 400 to 500 euros, but you can, if you have a smaller budget, you can also use around 100, 150 euros of budget to run a traffic campaign on the release from Facebook and Instagram. And we see that this gives a push to the algorithm, and on Spotify there's a thing called the quality score of a release, and this is kind of like how Spotify tracks how good a release is, and if a lot of traffic is coming on this release, the quality score rises, and this gives it a higher chance to be added in the bigger playlist that we spoke about earlier.
How long do you normally run ads for?
So this one, I would actually run it for a longer period of time, so we usually run it to around 3 to 4 weeks. So small budget, or like a small budget per day and like a long period of time.
Okay, the next one. And this could be hard to manage, but having a consistent release flow, this is something that really makes a difference. I talk to a lot of students about this, and people say, like, how often should we release music? And we see a lot of different artists do different timings. Some people think more, some people think less. For this, we think kind of 6 to 8 weeks minimum.
Yeah, 6 to 8 weeks. You can even go less. Like in the previous panel, they were talking about 4 weeks, release cycles of 4 weeks. And we can only add on to this idea, you know, like consistency is key. So if you manage to release every 4 to 6 to 8 weeks for a period of, let's say, 2, 3, 4, 5 years, it's just sort of your organic streams, your organic following on Spotify, on streaming platforms, they rise. And it's also something that large labels are interested in, you know, they're interested in seeing consistency.
Definitely. You'll really notice the performance of stuff specifically with streaming. If you're releasing, you do a release, another one 6 weeks, then suddenly there's a 3-4 month gap. It can really slow things down in the algorithm for you as an artist, so it makes a huge difference.
Yeah. So, quick question into the room, like how many of you are artists? Maybe raise your hand. And how many of you have done a release so far? Okay, so it's very funny because it's fairly easy to do a release. But I would say, like I speak with a lot of artists, I see a lot of artist projects coming around. I would say 99% of all these artists have not managed to pull off a consistent release flow for a period of 2 years, where they release, let's say, every 6 weeks. Like 99%. So if you manage, you've done a release. So if you just manage to do this for like 2 years, 3 years, you'll be better than 99% of all the other artists out there.
Yeah. So we say, you know, in the ideal world, but honestly, a lot we speak to don't achieve that, do they?
Yeah, yeah. Like I see it so many times, you know, artists, they do a release, they do maybe a second release, and then, you know, some pushback comes, and then they stop releasing. I'm like, yo, why did you stop releasing? Just push through, you know, just keep doing the releases. If you can find a label for it, do a self-release, start your own label.
Yeah, which we had some chat before. Mark in the A&R panel was very strong about that, saying, look, you know, you've got to make it happen yourself sometimes. If labels won't come, you know, you can't get labels, start your own perhaps. It's something to think about.
Yeah, totally.
And so the final one of our sort of quick points here for this TA Talks, it seems an obvious one, but I see this a lot, especially when I'm on Spotify, listening to music or receiving music from artists, and it's algorithm-friendly music. You know, and it's, of course, it starts in the club, and we start with extended versions, but getting edits right for Spotify is something that's really, really crucial to getting plays and playlists.
Yeah, exactly. Right? So for the, like, I don't know, taking Penpot as an example, where we have a consistent release flow at the moment, we do long club versions, but then we also make Spotify edits of this club version. And for Spotify, it's actually important that you don't name it Spotify edit, like Spotify doesn't like this, so the original version is always the short version, and the long one that you put on Beatport, for example, that's like the club version or extended.
Yeah, club version or extended, so always make it original version for Spotify. And we're talking as short as 2.5 minutes now. Can be really hard when you're writing music to brutally cut it down. And a lot of the edits I'm seeing, they almost do a mini version of the extended version. You don't need 4 or 8 bars of an intro. Get straight to the hook straight away. As quick as you can to the hook will get you much more plays and much more playlist ads as well. We tend to, when we're making all forms of house music, we still think that you've got to put this like 4, 8 bars, 10, 15 seconds of beats, go straight in. You've got to be brutal. And no long breaks either. You've got to it's very hard. In the old days, everyone used to cut it. So you'd have the extended version and they'd literally cut an audio version. You're going to have to reproduce it and make things a lot shorter.
Yeah.
A lot snappier. So, I think that brings us to our sort of key points here, isn't it? I hope you guys found that helpful. The point of these TA Talks is just some short, sharp information, facts that you could take away and learn about this.